My name is Marc Brackett, and I am the director of the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. And our center really, our mission is to use the power of emotional intelligence to create a more healthy, effective, and compassionate society. And what we do is research and program development. But I thought I'd start off with just talking about really why do emotions matter? So from our perspective, emotions matter for 5 primary reasons. The first is attention, memory, and learning. Think about it. If you are not emotionally present in a classroom as a student, you're feeling anxious or you're feeling overwhelmed, how are you going to be able to learn? What we know is that when our resources are being used to deal with, let's say, something like bullying or a stressful home life, it's hard to be present in the classroom. The second is decision making. When you consider the number of decisions we make each day, you start realizing that, wow, my emotions actually are behind a lot of that decision making. For example, with teachers, we find in our research that their moods bias the way they think about their students. In fact, in one study, we showed that teachers in certain mood states graded their students higher than in other mood states. The third is relationship quality. As we think about our relationships and the quality of our relationships, what we learned is that emotions drive much of that quality. How many of us like to be around the angry, disgruntled colleague, for example? And then finally, our mental health. When we see so many students in today's world feeling anxiety or experiencing depression or other challenges with their mental health, what we realize is that many of them don't have the strategies they need to manage their emotions effectively. And all that research that has been done for 20 years or so on the importance and value of emotions led us to thinking about, well, what is this thing called emotional intelligence? Can people be smarter about their emotional life? And if they could be, what would that look like? And the founder of our center, former director Peter Salovey, now the president of Yale, and Jack Mayer at the University of New Hampshire, back in 1990, developed the theory of emotional intelligence and essentially realized back then that people could be smart about their emotions, that there were people who were more skilled at understanding their emotions and managing their emotional life. And they developed a model of emotional intelligence called the ability model of emotional intelligence that we've been working on now for the past, 20 years. More recently, we use an acronym RULER to help describe the 5 skills of emotional intelligence. And that first skill is recognizing emotions. So we're looking at the facial expressions, the body language, the vocal tones of other people, paying attention to our own physiology. The second skill is understanding emotion, knowing the causes and the consequences of emotions. The third is labeling emotions, having that vocabulary to describe the full range of emotions. The fourth is expressing emotions, knowing how and when to express our emotions with different people in different contexts and different cultures. And the final skill, which is at the top of the emotional intelligence hierarchy, is the regulation of emotions. What are the strategies that we use to manage our own emotions and help others to manage theirs? And we've done, hundreds of studies now on emotional intelligence, showing that it predicts a wide range of outcomes of importance, from students having better leadership skills to performing better in school, to teachers being less burnt out and having greater job satisfaction, to leaders being more effective, to people having better mental health and greater well-being. And over the last decade or so, what my work has primarily focused on has been the development of programs, of approaches to bringing emotional intelligence to school systems. So I'm really interested in, can emotional intelligence be taught? And if it can, what are the tools that we need to use to make that happen? So RULER is our approach, and we have different strategies and tools. For example, we've developed a tool called the Mood Meter. And the Mood Meter is a tool that helps people develop a vocabulary for their inner life. What we've learned is that most people just have a very unsophisticated emotion vocabulary. So you ask someone how they feel, and they say, fine, okay, sure, they don't even use words. And so the Mood Meter helps us to understand that emotions have various levels of pleasantness, from very unpleasant to very pleasant. They also have differences in intensity. So some emotions are very low energy, others are high energy. And then we create these 4 quadrants. We call them the yellow, the blue, the red, and the green. Yellow is about high energy, pleasant emotions like happiness, excitement, elation. Red has to do with unpleasant but high energy emotions like anxiety and anger. The blue are down, disappointed feelings. And the green are the content, relaxed, kind of tranquil states. And there are other tools. For example, we have a tool we call the meta moment, which is a tool that allows people to build the space between that stimulus and response in that difficult time when they're triggered. So we have a process that helps people build that awareness of that trigger, recognize their typical ineffective strategies. A key element of the meta moment is something we call the best self. That if you can create an image in your mind's eye of yourself at your best, that somehow or another you're more likely to choose and use more effective strategies to manage your emotions. And that comes in where we teach the explicit regulation of emotion, things like positive self-talk and positive reappraisal. And over the last few years, we've had the opportunity to evaluate this approach in schools. So what I mean by that is we've taken Ruler and we've brought it to schools, and we've done random controlled trials where we integrate it in some classrooms and then not in others, and then longitudinally assess the outcomes. And what we found is that the teaching of emotional intelligence leads to outcomes of importance as well. That kids enjoy being in school more, classrooms become places where kids feel more supported and valued, the instruction gets better, and we've also found that students do better academically and that their behavior is more positive. So from the years of research on why emotions matter, to the development of the theory of emotional intelligence, to approaches to teaching emotional intelligence, we're now in a place where many of us who are working in the field feel quite strongly that it is, there's enough evidence that our nation's education system should really take what we call sometimes the other side of the report card more seriously. And we see emotional intelligence as that missing piece.